I recommend having certain criteria or being very mindful when you go to these events of who is it that I'm looking for? Who is it that I want to connect with? Is there something that's missing in my network? Am I looking for somebody who I just really like hanging out with and is fun? Am I looking for somebody that I can call when I'm like, this is terrible and I'm the only one who feels this way, and can be like, no, you're not, and keep going, right? Like, know who you're looking for. And then when you find those people, or you find someone that you're like, I think she might be it, then you can take that relationship to the next level. Then you can follow up with that person. But don't try to do all the things and follow up with all of the people.
That was business relationship strategist Melissa Snow. And in today's conversation, she tells us how to follow up, and in a way that'll save you time and make your connections count. So why is this vital to the success of your side hustle? Because as so many people are turning to AI to write their posts and emails and do their outreach, I'm finding that more and more people are craving authenticity, and that real human connection is becoming the advantage. And most people aren't great at it. That's where Melissa comes in. I first sat down with her a couple of years ago, and given the times that we're in, I gave it another listen. And for today, I've pulled together her most powerful tips and practical insights. And if you tend to be more introverted, or you've ever walked into a room full of people and thought, this is not for me, her approach is going to feel like a sigh of relief. I'm Joan Posavy, and this is Side Hustle Hero.
Really, at its core, networking is about creating genuine connections. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can network on social media. You can network at a formal networking event.
Okay.
You can network at your kid's baseball game. You can do it anywhere, but the point is to be creating genuine connections. And the reason that you want to create those connections is to grow your network. This is one of the things I say all the time. You're not networking to find clients. You're networking to grow your network. And there's a lot of different roles that people could play in your network. But the main goal is to expand the reach of your message. So there's an old definition of networking from long ago that says it's a broadcast system of multiple transmitters. And I like that definition because I think of that as like, if I've got something going on, if I've got a message to share or something that I want to promote or whatever it is, and I've got 100 people in my network, that's 100 people who are going to hear it, right? But if you and I are connected and I say, hey, Joan, I've got this thing. I think your network would love it. Would you be willing to share it? You and I have created a genuine relationship, so you're happy to share it with your network. Now I've doubled my reach without me having to do any extra work. I haven't had to go out and have 100 coffee dates with every single person in your network.
Right.
I've just had to cultivate my relationship with you, and that has created this broadcast system of multiple transmitters for me. So that's my definition of networking.
Okay. So if somebody wants to leverage networking to boost their side hustle, especially if they hate the idea of networking or found it ineffective, where would they even start to make that connection?
I really recommend people, especially if you have got a side hustle, if you are shy or anxious or neurodivergent in some way, if you've tried networking before and you're like, this is horrible, get me out of this room, I recommend virtual networking to all of those people. And I've got a list I'll share with your listeners that's the top virtual networking events that I have found for female entrepreneurs, particularly, but some of them are co-ed.
Okay.
And it can be hard to find a virtual networking event that is actually valuable,
Yes.
but I've found some. And the reason I like virtual, a lot of times for people who have a side hustle, it's because they have a 9-to-5 job or they're taking care of their aging parents, whatever it is, right? They've got other things going on that are consuming their time. So to be able to do it virtually, you're cutting out the travel time. And you are also being able to do it in a way that is easier. You don't have to leave your house. You can have your kids or your mom in the other room. I personally find it easier to log into a Zoom where there are a bunch of people that I don't know rather than walking into an actual room full of people that I don't know.
Right.
If you are not super outgoing or confident or extroverted, you might not be the person that is comfortable walking up to a group of people and saying, hi, I'm Joan. It's great to meet you. What do you do? But that feels feels a lot easier and less threatening on a Zoom call.
Yes.
And I also always tell people, if you're in a conversation at a networking event where all of a sudden you're like, this person is a salesy weirdo, or there's some other reason, you have to figure out like now what your escape plan is. But if you're on Zoom, it's very easy. You're just like, oh, my connection, it's bad. Sorry. Bye. So I also enjoy that aspect.
Yeah, there was this person that was going in, just as an aside, this person going in for a job interview, this young girl, and you had to answer a series of questions. There was about 30 of them, she said, and each one was timed. And you had to take the full minute for each question. And she said, after about 35 seconds on this one, I didn't have anything else to say. So she said, I just pretended to freeze. Didn't blink anything, just so that they thought my camera froze up. Anyway, I thought that was
Very smart.
really,
I can safely say I've never pretended to freeze on a virtual networking event, but I've come close.
I'd want to talk to her about a job position. That was very creative.
Yeah, very.
But anyway, I really appreciate you offering that list of these places. Can you walk us through one, what it is and what happens to give us an idea of what takes place?
Yeah. So I host a monthly virtual speed networking event that's for female entrepreneurs, but there are several other that I have been to. Mine is a speed networking event. And so we come on, I give a little bit of an introduction, and then I put people in breakout rooms and give them a specific topic to discuss. So you're in a breakout room with 3, 4, 5 people. Everybody gets to introduce themselves and say what they do. But then also there's some sort of business related question that you're all discussing together. And usually they're in there, depending on the number of people, they're usually in there 10, 12 minutes, just enough time to, everybody always comes back and is like, we needed more time. And I'm like,
Yes.
this is just the appetizer.
Yeah.
But enough time to just kind of get to know people. It's very similar to speed dating, honestly.
Right.
I was telling you before we started that I used to be a dating and relationship coach. And I
Yes.
would tell my clients, like, this first part is just like having a little sample and deciding which one you want to have a little bit more of. And networking is very similar. You don't have to become best friends or even follow up with every single person that you meet.
Right.
But doing virtual networking and being in those little breakout rooms, which is how most of them are structured,
Right.
at least gives you a little snippet of who these people are and what they're about. And then
Yes.
you can decide if they're people that you want to get to know a little bit further.
And because they're coming from different backgrounds and area of expertise, what's an example of one question they would be given?
I like to ask the question of, what made you start your business, or
Okay.
why are you still in your business? Because sometimes the reason we started is not the same reason we're continuing. Questions like that are business related, but it also gives you the opportunity to see kind of the personality and the soul and the passion behind the person.
Right.
A lot of times I will ask, like, what is something that you need? Maybe a resource, a connection. Oh, I just heard a podcast episode about that exact thing. Sometimes I'll ask, what is something that you have to offer to the other people? Maybe you just read a book that you think would be really helpful or something like that.
Right.
Sometimes I will ask, what is one of the biggest challenges that you're facing in your business? Because I think it's always helpful for us to know that it's not just us.
That's right. We're not the only one facing this. Great.
Yep. So a lot of those kind of questions.
Great. So Melissa, imagine someone wanting to go out and build their side hustle. What are some of the top mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making when they go to a networking event or try to reach out to a potential client?
Yeah. One of the things I would say, especially for people with a side hustle, is don't try to do all of the things.
Okay.
Don't try to go to all of the events and meet all of the people. Particularly for people with a side hustle, your time and your energy is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for you to prioritize quality over quantity. And sometimes that takes some trial and error. Sometimes
Sure.
you have to show up to different events in order to find out, like, that one wasn't for me. But that is helpful too, because you can kind of get an idea. Some people really like the unstructured networking events where you just walk in and everyone's having drinks and we're all just chatting. And it's just, even just talking about that raises my anxiety level.
Yeah. No,
I
thank
need a
you.
wee bit of structure and a wee bit less alcohol. So I like the networking events where someone says, sit at this table, talk to these people about this topic for this long. You do that for me, my anxiety and stress level goes way down and I can talk to those people all day long. So try some different formats out until you get an idea of what you like and what works for you, and notice how your energy feels after each event. Do you feel energized from that event? Or do you feel like your energy was just drained from that event? Because that's going to give you a really good gauge. Like, I either need to find more events like this or I need to stay away from events like this.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Another mistake that I see people making a lot is people always talk to me about the follow up, right? Because you can't just go to a networking event, meet people, be like, nice to meet you, bye. And then you're like, well, I went to that event, nobody bought my stuff, and nothing happened. Networking doesn't work.
Right.
You do have to follow up and do some intentional work after that. But a lot of times we try to follow up with everyone that we met. And that is very similar to trying to date everyone who is on the dating app,
Okay.
which sounds terrible.
Yes.
It sounds like nothing I want to do anytime soon. So I recommend having certain criteria or being very mindful when you go to these events of who is it that I'm looking for? Who is it that I want to connect with? Is there something that's missing in my network? Am I looking for somebody who I just really like hanging out with and is fun? Am I looking for somebody that I can call when I'm like, this is terrible and I'm the only one who feels this way, and can be like, no, you're not, and keep going, right? Like,
Yeah.
know who you're looking for. And then when you find those people or you find someone that you're like, I think she might be it, then you can take that relationship to the next level. Then you can follow up with that person, but don't try to do all the things and follow up with all of the people.
Right. And when you do follow up, how do you do that? What are some tips to do that?
There's a couple different ways. If you are somebody who likes social media, that's one way. Connect with them on LinkedIn or whatever platform you're on, and just continue to genuinely interact with them on that platform. Comment on their posts, like their posts, share their stuff if it's relevant to your audience. Doing things like that is going to endear you to them. And it's also going to help them remember you, right? You're going to stay top of mind because they're going to be like, oh, that was nice. She just shared that with her network and I barely know her.
And if you keep doing that too, your stuff is going to show up in their feeds potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a win-win for sure. If you're not a social media person, I always recommend, a lot of times I'll come home from a networking event or just from meeting somebody, and I will schedule an email to go out in a week or 2 weeks. Like, if you and I just met and you told me when we were chatting that your son was getting married in August, maybe I'd come home and I'd schedule an email to go out August 20th saying, hey, Joan, it was so great to meet you at such and such thing. I remember you mentioned your son's getting married. I hope it was awesome. Would love to hear how it went. Hope you're doing well, right? So adding that personal touch to let them know I'm not just copying and pasting this message to every single person I met at this event.
Yes.
I actually remembered you. I enjoyed meeting you. You were worth me following up with on this specific thing. And I always schedule the emails because I'm not going to remember at the end of August that your son just got married.
Got it.
And so it's not disingenuous that I'm scheduling it ahead of time. I still want to know. I still want to connect. I just know I'm not going to remember. So I am like the queen of scheduling emails.
And that scheduling piece too is part of the planning and going to the network event that, okay, after the networking event, whether it's that night for us night owls or the next morning, to schedule that time to do that when it's fresh in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can take notes too. Sometimes that helps during a networking event. I'll make notes if I have like a roster or if somebody gives me their business card or something, you can make notes on those things. But yeah, you do then have to actually do something with that information. For those of you who have stacks of business cards sitting on your desk.
Yes. Do people use business cards anymore? Like, I don't mean that. I mean that sincerely. Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
What are you finding the most shared as far as networking goes in that realm? I'm seeing a lot of QR codes going to people's LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah. I use a dot card. It looks like a little credit card and it's got a QR code on it. And there's some fancy one where like if you're even close to somebody, it can just upload your information to them. I don't really want that to happen, but
yeah, that might fall into that. What did you call it? Weirdo salesy?
The one I have has a QR code on it. It's set up very much like a Linktree or something like that, where they scan the QR code and then it saves all my information into their phone.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think people are doing that a lot. Or a lot of times people will just meet somebody and right then and there, I'll get on my phone and connect with you on LinkedIn or connect with you on Instagram. I think that's more common now than passing business cards.
So, what strategies have you found to be the most effective for creating real, genuine connections in this digital age we're living in?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just being an actual human. We get so caught up in what the end result is, right? Or what we want the other person to think about us, or what we want them to do. Like, are they going to share my thing? Are they going to buy my stuff? Do they think I'm legit? This, especially, I see this a lot with people with a side hustle. I think all entrepreneurs struggle with imposter syndrome, but I think it happens more with people who have a side hustle because they think they're not quote unquote real business owners,
Right.
or someone has told them that they're not quote unquote real
Right.
business owners. And so I think just getting out of your own way and just allowing yourself to show up authentically as who you are, being okay with the fact that some people are going to love that, some people aren't going to love that. Very similar again to online dating. I would tell women when I was helping them with their profiles, it's amazing how many parallels there are between
Yeah,
growing a
really.
business and finding a boyfriend. But I would tell my clients all the time, like when be working on their online dating profile, and they would say, I don't want to put that on there because I don't want to turn people off. I'm like, yes, you do. Half the goal is turning people off, right? Because that's how you're going to narrow it down. And it's the same in business. If you're showing up as your true self, if you're being authentic, it's going to turn people off. And that's okay because they were never your people to begin with. So just approaching it as a real human and remembering that the person that you're interacting with is also a real human is the best way to do it. And you can do that on social media.
Yeah. And think about how you like to be treated when it comes to networking, the recipient of it,
Absolutely.
that
Yes.
personal touch that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, what's been your funniest or most disastrous networking moments?
Yeah, I've had a few, none of them me, of course, because I'm perfect, but
Right.
other
Okay.
people
Yeah.
being salesy
Friends.
weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah, other people. I went to this networking event with a couple of friends of mine, and I didn't really want to go, but I never want to leave the house and people have to make me. So we went to this networking event that was co-ed. I don't do a lot of co-ed networking. And it was at a brewery, and it was just a free for all, like just come and chat and whatever. So we're sitting there chatting, and this guy comes over and he's like, hey, I don't even remember if he introduced himself, but he's like, hey, let's take a selfie. And we were all just like, okay. So he took a selfie with each one of us. And then he was like, what's your number so I can send it to you? And I was like,
Oh,
what?
really?
So I panicked, but also I was slightly curious. So I gave him my number, and he sent me the selfie, and I was like, I don't know why I want this. I don't even like, we didn't even have a conversation really. And so he's like, great to meet you, blah, blah, very schmoozy, like weird used car salesman guy. And so off he goes. And then the next day I get a text from him that's like, hey, great to meet you at such and such networking event. Would love to keep in touch. Can I get your birth date and your mailing address? And I was like, no, I didn't even answer. I was like, I don't
No.
know what's going on.
Yeah, really.
And then a couple days later, I get a text from his wife. This is not going where you think it is. But his wife also has a business and is a salesy weirdo. And so she's like, starts spamming me with these sales messages of like, I'm doing a workshop for business owners. I would love for you to come, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what in the world is
Yeah, yeah,
happening?
yeah,
It was just the weirdest,
yeah.
weirdest thing.
That goes in your portfolio of do not do this, people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is my what not to do. One of many.
One of many. Well, is there something that I should have asked you about networking that I haven't yet, Melissa?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, some of the unique challenges that people with a side hustle face compared to people who are doing their business full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the balance of time and energy is big. I see burnout happening a lot more with people who have a side hustle than I do with someone who is doing their business full time. Because, like we said, people with a side hustle are usually trying to juggle, not that people with businesses aren't, but trying to juggle a lot more things and a lot more pressure. So
Yes.
in that regard, I always recommend like setting realistic goals. Don't make yourself a goal to, I did a networking challenge that I put on one year, and it was in the month of January. And I went to a networking event every single day in the month of January.
Every single day.
Do not recommend. 0 out of 5 stars. Don't
She,
do that.
she was going for a Guinness World Book work. A Guinness World. A Guinness World Book of Records.
I learned a lot, but I do not recommend it. So
No.
set realistic goals for yourself. Find ways to network in your everyday activities. Like I said, it doesn't have to just happen at a formal networking event. And schedule yourself strategically. Like I said, pay attention to when you have the most energy. Pay attention to how certain events or certain people feel for your energy,
Mm.
and schedule accordingly. And then the last thing I would say is that imposter syndrome piece. You are just as much of a business owner if you are doing it 5-10 hours a day, or please don't be doing it 10 hours a day, 5-10 hours a week, while you have your full-time job, while you have your children, while you have all of your other things, as someone who is doing it 80 hours a week. You are just as serious. You are just as much of a business owner. You have just as much to offer people.
Mm-hmm.
And so just don't forget that when you're going into a networking event. You belong there just as much as the next guy.
Yeah, and sometimes too, even more skilled at time management and planning and all these other things to make that even happen, to have that side
Absolutely.
hustle in the first place. Well, what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Melissa?
Yeah, on my website. My website is powerfulwomenrising.com. That's also where you can get the list of the best virtual networking events for entrepreneurs. It says for female entrepreneurs, but there's several on there that I have specified are co-ed events.
Excellent. We'll make sure that those links are all in the show notes.
Awesome.
So what's your best tip to inspire others to start or grow their side hustle?
It's not new, but I would say just do it.
Yeah.
I see so many people waiting until certain things fall into place, or I'm going to wait until I can quit my full-time job. I'm going to wait until my kids are X age. I'm going to wait until I have such and such skills. Or we tell ourselves like, I need to take this course first, or I need to hire this coach first, or read this book first, whatever it is. I have been there. I get it. You don't. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself you need to wait for, you don't. Just do it. The best way to learn is to just dive in and get started and be okay with the fact that you are going to do things that you're like, well, that was weird. Wish I wouldn't have done it that way. But that is how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how we all learned and grew. So just go for it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Melissa, for making network sound like something we could actually look forward to doing. And of course,
absolutely.
And of course, for being today's side hustle hero.
Thank you so much for having me.
Melissa mentioned that you can grab a list of virtual networking events that she recommends from her website. And one of those is one that she hosts for women. However, a co-ed one she recommends is Laura Livingston's Real Connections. I'll drop the link in the show notes. I hope our conversation today has left you feeling more optimistic and energized about attending your next networking event. A key takeaway is to view networking as an opportunity to build those genuine relationships, not just to rack up sales. Melissa's approach truly resonates with me. She emphasizes that you don't need to connect with everyone in the room or follow up with everyone you meet. Focus on those that you feel a mutually beneficial relationship can actually develop. This reminded me of Earl Nightingale, often considered the grandfather of the personal development movement. His work, dating back to the 1950s, includes the audio series Lead the Field, where he shares habits of top salespeople. One piece of advice that really stuck with me over all these years is this. He said, anytime you meet someone, say to yourself, I'm going to make them glad that they talked to me. This mindset of leaving people better off after every interaction is something that I've really tried to live by. It could take the form of a recommendation or a piece of advice, maybe a contact you share with them. Or it could be the simple act of really listening to them, which will be clear to them through your body language, your eye contact, your conversation. It's a simple but powerful way to build genuine, meaningful relationships and grow your side hustle. So the next time you walk into a networking event, carry that mindset with you. Aim to make each person glad that they spoke with you. And you'll find that your network and your side hustle will grow in ways that you never imagined. Well, that's a wrap. And I truly hope that you're glad that you listened in today. You'll find links to Melissa's website, socials, and the full show notes at our website, sidehustlehero.com. If you're enjoying what you're seeing in this podcast, it would be so appreciated if you would take a moment to add your comment, share the episode, and please subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start or grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on.